Hello, welcome to the channel. In this video I will show you how to program a Motorola MOTOTRBO radio like the XPR-4350 to use with Hotspot, DMR repeaters, analog channels. Also I will show you how to upgrade the firmware on the radio. I will also include a section to discuss the USB programming cable, how you can, the options you have, and issues that I found with the drivers on Windows 10, and also the most important, how to obtain this software legally from Motorola. So let me tell you a little bit more about the XPR-4350 radio. This is a UHF radio that range from 400 to 470 megahertz, and it does digital DMR or analog FM. So I have a couple of these radios that a relative brought to me. They were going to be thrown out by a company going out of business. So the two sets came with power supplies included, and one microphone and one antenna. So I have a missing microphone and a missing antenna for the other set. Also, one of the radios has a dead channel display, so the radio works perfectly, but it doesn't show the channel number on the display. So I have these two radios sitting on a shelf since my relative dropped them in for about a year. And recently, browsing the web, I found a forum post mentioning that Motorola has released the CPS software for programming this radio at no cost for users. And I want to show you also on this video how to obtain that software legally. Alright, like I mentioned earlier, I have two of these radios. So this is one, the one I have here is the one that is has failing the channel numbers, the LEDs, and the one that is live there in the top right corner in your screen, this is the other one, and right now I have it's live and this is scanning for signals. Okay, so let's go over this radio. So this is the XPR-4350. The radio is very simple. This is a 32 channels radio. Microphone goes in here. This is your power button. This is your volume knob. Display channel, as you can see on the one that is live in there. Then you have two programmable buttons and the channel rocker. So this is everything that is on the front. Is very simple. These two buttons can be programmed to do like a short press and long press functionality, and I will show that later when we look at the software. All right, so the radio is extremely well constructed and very sturdy. What is in the back of the radio? We have the a mini. This is called mini UHF connector. It's not the standard size, so to use with your regular UHF connector, you need an adapter, which I have. Maybe I can show it later in the video. There is the standard power input, and this is the port that we need to use to connect the cable to program the radio. Below the port, there is this radio comes with a GPS built-in. So this is the connector for the GPS antenna, as you can see here. So going back to the port for programming, and this is called the accessory port. Is a lot of things are here in the back. A lot of connections from the radio are here exposed on this connector. The most important thing for this part of the video is to know where is the pin 1. Pin 1 is in the low row close to the power connection. That is the pin 1. Pin 2 is the on top of that. On the top right corner is the pin 26, and below that is the pin 25th. So this is a 26 pin connectors, and the pitch of the pins is matching the hard drives or the floppy drives connectors from the old computers. So what I did and what I'm gonna show next is the cable. Okay, this is the basic service manual, and there are various options of programming cables. The one that I'm going to cover is this one here, the one that is USB and connects in the back of the radio with the accessory connector. So let me zoom in into this, and let's go over the details of this connection. So like I mentioned before, when we were looking at the radio, pin 1 and pin 2 are the ones closer to the power connector, and the connection of the USB cable is provided here. Is the USB pins 1, 2, 3, and 4 is ground, right? It goes into the accessory connector, pins 3, 2, 1, and 4. The other thing that I did, which I'm going to show now when I show the cable I built, is I connected to this ground, the pin number 16 on the accessory connector. I soldered the ground, the shield from the USB cable. So let's take a look at the cable that I built. Alright, in this part of the video we're going to cover the construction of your own programming cable. So you need a connector for the radio for this part, okay, for here. So like I mentioned before, for this you can use an old cable like this one for my computer. What you have to do is just to take this part, take this ribbon, and cut this to 26 pins, because this is more than 26 pins. So you need to cut it to 26 pins, okay? So you have to use this part because, for example, this one has a cover hole in there, so you're not gonna be able to plug it if you use something like this one, okay? So you need a connector like this, and also you need an old USB cable like this one. Okay, so what you do is you snip this part, you cut the small connector, you cut it here, you throw this out, and you use the rest of the cable with this regular USB connector. How the cable looks like? It looks like this. In one end, you have your USB side, and in the other end, you have the 4 cables from the USB and the ground connected to the shield. Okay, so how are the connections? I show you I showed the connection before on from the service manual. In this case, pin 1 is data positive, pin 2, the Y1, is data negative, pin 3 is 5 volts positive, red cable from the USB. And finally, the pin 4 is pin 4, or the ground cable from the USB connector. All right, so how the cable goes into the radio, I explained before. The pin 1 is the closest to the power supply connector. So it goes like this. This is how it goes into the radio. And in the next in the next segment of the video, I'm gonna show how to obtain the software legally from Motorola. And after that, in the final part, I will show the programming of the radio and how everything works together. In this part of the video, I'm going to walk through the steps that are needed to obtain the Motorola software legally. To do that, I have on the screen here the website and all the steps that we need to complete in order to open a business account with a Motorola. This is needed to access the software download and the firmware download. So I'm going to do all that in the browser. I just put it here for your reference in case that you want to take notes of the website address and all that. And the most important part is in order to do that, we need to be clear with Motorola that we want to set up a Motorola online business account as an individual for non-commercial and personal reasons, and we want to do this for ham radio, for amateur radio. Right, so if you are asked what is your role or what is your title, you always put amateur radio in there. So the account creation takes few days, and we will go through the steps now. So in this part of the video, I will show you how to create your own account on the MotorolaSolutions.com website, which I have here open on the screen for you. So the next step is to go to the sign in, click on sign in, and instead of using my own account, I will show you how to register. So you click register. This is to open a new account. You select your country here. So I'm going to continue with Canada. I'm going to hit next. And this is very important decision, personal or business. You have to choose business, because in order to you see here, purchase software. So here it says purchase software. The software is at $0, so you will not have to pay for the software. But to access the software, you need to select the business account. So you choose business, and then you complete. Here is telling you the number of steps, right? There is 4 more steps. I'm not going to do all this, but you have to complete this step and click next, next, next. And at one point, it's going to ask you. It's going to ask you for the description of the account. Then in that is where you have to enter what I mentioned before, that you want to open a business account for individual and personal use for amateur radio, right? For non-commercial use. So this is just to ensure them that you're not going to compete with any of the existing dealers in your area or resellers, stuff like that. Just to make them clear that you want just to download the software and the firmware to program the radios for amateur radio use. Okay, so once you do that, it will take a couple of days for your account to be fully active and the account to be created. And once you do that, you can then log into your account, which I'm going to do now. And I'm going to show you the different things that you can do, right? So before I will show you what I have done, right? So I will go to my view. And in my view, I'm going to show you my orders, the orders that I put through, okay? Why I'm showing you this first? Because I need to get the part numbers for you. So the first order that I put, it was for the 25 kilohertz channel bandwidth setting. So normally these radios come with 12.5 bandwidth setting for the channel, but if you add this and you add this into the radio, then you can use for example, an FM repeaters or FM channels in UHF, you can use the fully 25 kilohertz bandwidth. So this is the part number. So I'm going to grab this one for later, right? I'm going to copy the part number just to show you how later you can enter an order, right? For this. The other orders that I enter are for the I ordered 2 of these licenses for because I have two radios, right? For the bandwidth, right? And the last one is for the software. So this is the order for the software, which I'm gonna copy the number, and here you can see software turbo CPS download current version. It will allow you to download the CPS version 1 and the CPS version 2. The CPS version 1 is in the release 16, and the version 2, I can't remember the number, but it's 2 point something. In contracts, of course, I don't have any contracts. Entitlements is where you're gonna find the software to download once the orders are approved and finalized. So first you have to put the order. We're gonna see that later, how to put the order. And once the order is processed and finalized, you will get the notification. Then you come here to software and you will find the links to download the software. So like I was mentioning before, this is the CPS 1.0 release 16. This is the latest version of the CPS 1.0. And for the CPS 2.0, which is this one here, I believe this version 2.126 is the latest for the 2.0 version of the CPS. You can program the radios with either of those two software. And we're going to look at the software also later on the video. So all this is all the software that I have available just for creating the account. I'm just scrolling to show you this. So how do you put an order to download to get access to these downloads? You go to orders. No, sorry. You go to shop. Yes, it's gonna open in a new tab. So we are in the shopping part, and you enter the part numbers. That is the easiest way. So remember, I copy the part number in there. I'm gonna paste the part number. You see right there, it finds. This is the part number that you need to, you see, is $0. You don't have to pay for this, but you still need to go through the process of adding into your cart, putting the order, and going through all the hoops to get it, right? So you say add to the cart. You can put any email address you want in here. So I'm gonna put the same one I used before, right? Save to cart. And then view cart. And you proceed with the checkout. Once this order is completed, not from your side, from the Motorola side, that can take up to a day. After that, you will see the downloads like I show you on the previous screen. Okay, this is how you get the software, how you get the license for the 25 kilohertz channels, all these things. Everything that is 0, you get it for free. So now, how you get the firmware, this is the other part. The firmware, you don't have to order the firmware. This is where it could be tricky. You go to My View, and you go to Entitlements, and here you see there is a button, subscribe. Then you have to hit this button, and you have to subscribe to the MOTOTRBO North American Professional Devices and MOTOTRBO North American Professional Devices Legacy. You can also subscribe to anything else that you want to, but for me, for the firmware that I need right now, was only those two. So you add those, and once you are subscribed, then you can download. The download of the firmware will appear here, and you can download. Here, you see? So in case for my radio was XPR-4000 mobile series, this is the latest release 1.12.17, and I download this and I install this on my radios. And I'm going to show you later on the software how you do that. That's it. This is the only thing that you need to do, and the important things to do this legally with Motorola. So before we jump and take a look, a very quick look on the software, I wanted to mention that there are issues on Windows 10 with the driver when the radio has an old firmware, and this is what happened to me. I couldn't figure it out what was the reason. I tried so many things and I couldn't resolve this issue that I took a screenshot and I put it here on the screen. Is this yellow exclamation mark on the MOTOTRBO radio driver on the device manager in Windows 10. And the reason is what I said. This is the firmware on the radio is not compatible with Windows 10. How you solve that? You need to get an older computer with Windows 7 or an earlier version 2 could work, like XP or whatever, right? Install the software in there that you download, install the firmware, update, and with that computer with Windows 7, update the firmware of the radio. This is what I did. Then after the firmware of the radio is upgraded to the latest version, now you can go back with the radio and plug it in Windows 10 and it's gonna work. Okay, I want to make that clear before we jump into the software itself. So now we have the radio ready and connected to the computer, but before we turn it on and jump into the software and start looking at the programming options, I wanted to share with you what are we going to cover in this part of the video. So there are two types of software. Is the CPS 1, which is the latest version, is the version 16, or the CPS 2.0 software. We're going to look at both of them. We're going to look at the enabled features on the radio, how to back up the current configuration. We're going to look at doing a firmware upgrade. Then starting from scratch, on the programming or downloading the current settings and use those as a base. And then we're going to look at the basic components that a code plug has for all these digital radios. So I have everything ready to start with the demo. I have opened all the different CPS software that I have to show you the similar points and the different points between different CPS for different radios and between CPS 1 and CPS 2 for Motorola specifically. Here on the left there is my device manager, and I want to point it out that Motorola radios are detected as a network devices, as a network adapter. So when you connect the radio and you turn the radio on, it will not be in the ports, but it will come on the network's adapter. So why we don't turn the radio on and see this happening in real time? So radio is coming up. And it's refreshing, and you can see here two very important things. First is radio is installed and is detected as a MOTOTRBO radio, as a network adapter. But this notification that is here on the right side of the screen is very important. This you have to click yes, and this is given the permission to the system to access the network adapter MOTOTRBO radio. So that is very important to click yes in that screen. So now we have the radio connected to the computer. Let's do a quick overview of a typical CPS software. So this one is not the Motorola CPS software, but the reason I'm showing this one first is to show you something simple, and going from something simple like this to something more complex, but at the end is the same components in a little bit more complex structure in here. So this one is for this radio, for the Bofen DM1801, which I have converted to the OpenGD77 firmware. So you have your call sign and your radio ID. You have all your contacts, like I'm showing here. All your private contacts, like private calls, like this one. Parrot, for example, is a private call, 9990, or group calls or talk groups, right? So you can see all them here. Then you have your talk group lists. This is a way to group them, right? And then you have your zones, right? In my case, I have a digital, analog, and so on and so forth for all the channels. The zones are for all the channels. And here you can see all the channels that I have programmed on the handheld, on the HT. Okay, so this is like a normal handheld programming. So now if we jump into the CPS version 1 and we open and we read the radio. Now I'm connecting to the radio and now it's reading from the radio. You will see there is no much different. Of course, it has a lot of extra informations that pertain to Motorola systems, but for the ham radio usage is about the same. So you have the device information in here, the frequency range of the radio, the power range, the firmware version. Like I mentioned before, this radio has been upgraded to the latest version of the firmware, and you have all the different programming, the programming of the buttons on the front of the radio, and what else is important here? All the signaling systems are not important to us, and we don't need to change anything in here for use the radio with DMR repeaters or with analog repeaters for ham radio use, for amateur radio use. So then you have to enter your contacts in here in the same way that you will do it in any other DMR radio. You put your name in here and you put your call ID. This Parrot one, this is supposed to be a private call, and I created it as a talk group, and as an example I'm gonna fix that. So I'm gonna add a private call and I'm gonna call it name. I want to call it Parrot, and I'm gonna put the call ID as a 9990, and I'm gonna remove this one here, which is a talk group and it's wrong. It should be a private call. So let me delete this one. Yes, and it's done. Okay, let me save this. Let me save with today's date. This is the 23rd. And we save the file. So now I made this little change. I can show you how to write this to the radio. So there is the right button in here. Click here. Now it's uploading this change to the radio, and it's done. The radio is rebooting, as you can see here on the image beside me, and it boots. It goes to channel 1 by default. So the other thing I want to check is the grouping. So let me see if I have this channel. Sorry, this contact, I believe I put it in one of the buttons. No, that's fine. It's all good. So the only one that I'm using this Parrot is on the, it should be a channel I'm using this one here. So you see Hotspot 9990, that is the name I put to this channel, and the contact is none because I deleted the original one, so I need to put it back to Parrot. So I have to do that. And just to make everything more clear, I'm going to rename this one to 9990. And if I go back, so these are the contacts, and in the channels, you can have digital channels or analog channels. Okay, so in this one I have a channel for the parrot. I call this channel Hotspot 9990, and now the contact name has the correct contact name. So I'm going to make a video specifically about programming code plugs, but I don't want to spend too much time on this now. Just give you the basics. So this is the CPS 1.0 version 16, and the last one that I wanted to show you is the CPS 2.0, which is this is like a new generation of CPS. And let me read the radio with this one. You will see there is not much difference. It's mainly the difference is mainly on the interface. Let me see if let me read. It's reading the code plug from the radio. As you can see, any of these two software works well once the radio has the latest firmware. Okay. And same information, same options to program, but with a different UI, with a different interface, right? A little bit different interface. If we go to the device information, we can see all the details about the device. We can see, in general, we can see the common settings, right? Different settings for the radio. I didn't touch any of this. The important two settings, like I show you with the normal, with the other CPS, is radio alias. I put my call sign, the radio ID. I put my radio ID for DMR, right? So this one is only enabled for digital use. Okay, this particular radio that I have here in the bench. If the radio is enabled for analog use, you will see analog in this list. Okay, so this particular one doesn't have analog support, but if I purchase the feature, I should be able to add to the radio. So now how we can install a new firmware onto the radio. So you need to download the package. So I did that already. Early in the video I show you how to subscribe and download those packages. So I have it here, and I'm going to install on this machine. I upgraded the firmware on my Windows 7 machine, and now I'm going to try to install it on my Windows 10, the firmware package, and see if it works also here. So you need to install the package, and what this does is install on top of your CPS software the image of the new firmware. So once this is done, will we reopen the CPS 1.0, and we're gonna see if it's any updated version in here. Of course it will be not, but is to show the process. So let me open the CPS again. So now with the CPS 1.0 version 16 running, I'm gonna read the radio again. Now I have all the code plug download from the radio into the CPS. We go to device, update, and now it's going to check, and it's going to tell us if it's any firmware that we want to select the radio, select the firmware, and select the version of the code plug and click OK. I'm not going to do this because I already done it. This radio has already this firmware, as you can see here, right? This radio has already this firmware and this code plug version. So I'm not going to do it again, but if you hit OK, this is how you upgrade the firmware on the radio. Now for the last part of this video, a quick demo on the radio using the hotspot and interacting with my HT. So first I'm gonna hit the PTT on the radio. Hello radio. And we can see is the hotspot, the jumbo spot is receiving. I'm setting up on talk group 9, which is my local talk group. This is not gonna go anywhere. And let me do one more time. I'm gonna put it the handy talk in front of the microphone. Hello radio, testing 1 2. And the other way, I'm gonna talk on the HT, and it's gonna come on the Motorola. Hello radio, testing 1 2. Hello radio, testing 1 2. Everything is working fine. One last thing, I'm gonna open the Ontario talk group on the hotspot. So that is my channel 14, I believe. If I hit it here, yeah, I'm connected now to the Ontario talk group on my hotspot. Okay. At the same time, I can go to any repeater and do the same thing. The repeaters I have set up on the radio. That's everything for this video today. So I hope this is useful for you. If you like the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you for visiting the channel. Until the next time, 7-3.